The principle of no significant difference was summarized by Thomas Russell, Director of Instructional Computing at North Carolina State University. He said, technology will facilitate learning for some, but will probably inhibit learning for others, while the remainder experience no significant difference. And he goes on to conclude, there is no longer any doubt that the technology used to deliver instruction will not impact learning for better or worse. Well, this may seem like bad news for a little startup info ed business like EduSham. After all, if the technology makes no difference, why in the world would people buy it? But at EduSham, we view this principle of no significant difference not as a barrier to education, but as a challenge for marketing, something that we know how to do very well and which gives us a distinct advantage over conventional educational institutions. So for those who are seeking quick, measurable, positive results, we're pleased to offer a new model, our APM Pro. Now this model is similar to our plain vanilla APM, except that it has been enhanced with the Hawthorne effect. Now students of social science in the audience will immediately recognize this concept. The Hawthorne effect was discovered decades ago by industrial psychologist Elton Mayo and his colleagues in studies of worker-management relationships at the Hawthorne electric plant. Now what he discovered was that in changing any of the workplace variables will cause productivity to increase. So you turn the lights up, productivity increases. You turn the lights down, productivity increases. Just about anything works. And he concluded that what was actually going on was that workers thought there was something very important happening and that they were a part of it because the spotlight was on them. So, my friends, if the school or college or organization buys the APM Pro, our consultants will come to the site and generate the Hawthorne effect. So we'll make sure that there are plenty of stories in the local newspaper or on television. We'll make sure that the mayor or the governor comes to the place for a photo opportunity. In short, we'll make sure that the participants feel as if there's something new and exciting here and that they are a part of it. And that will get the positive results the buyer is seeking. Now in the future, my friends, we'll all be talking a lot less about schools and colleges and libraries as the focus for learning. Instead, we'll be talking about the educational maintenance organizations and the services they provide. Now, we've already seen what the coming of the ATM did in banking, namely to eliminate thousands of branch banks with their costly buildings and staff and maintenance. Well, at EduSham, we believe that the APM and its successor products will liquidate much of the costly, inflexible ballast that has come to be known as education during the past 2 centuries. And yes, there are some who will prefer the conventional, costly, old-fashioned approach, just as there are those who like old-fashioned quilts or who buy 19th century timepieces. And today's educators may think that they are still crucial to education, that their presence is required. But, my friends, they are simply mistaken. By comparison, think of the elevator operators decades ago, who probably rejoiced when automatic controls came into elevators. They said to themselves, oh, wonderful, now our jobs will be more interesting and more fun. We'll be able to talk to the people on the elevators, we'll have less physical work to do, and so forth. Well, of course, we know what happened to the elevator operators. At EduSham, we view the elimination of the old practices, the old structures, and particularly the old personnel as good news. And looking at the race to transform education in the decades ahead, we've adopted as our motto, lighten up. Take it easy. Go with the program. Just lighten up. Well, on all sides, my friends, we see a frantic but half-hearted scramble by those in old-fashioned educational institutions to catch up to the dynamism of this extraordinary historical situation. At EduSham, we look upon all of this with amusement, watching teachers and administrators scramble to sacrifice their long-held principles and practices in a frantic quest to catch up to and to survive in the era of digital communications. But clearly, the winners, and I'm not just making a pun on my name, the winners will be those in the new generation of educational service providers. The business firms best prepared for that great showdown ahead, the fierce technical and economic competition for the $600 billion a year that consumers spend on that commodity known as education. And that's why the future looks bright for our little startup company and indeed for education itself. And here's what we see happening in the months and years ahead. Well, right now, of course, we are attracting venture capital. Very soon we will go to Wall Street with our initial public offering. As tens of thousands of APMs are purchased and put to use, we anticipate winning that all-important brand name identification. We also plan to partner with other movers and shakers in the info-ed business, Disney, AOL, Time Warner, Fox, and other important EMOs. And of course, we predict increasing market share in this industry. And while it's a bit premature to talk about it, we look forward to an eventual merger with, or perhaps even an acquisition of, Microsoft. I might say, by the way, that in the research horizon, my staff tells me that they're, in the next couple of years, going to succeed in liquidating the two major remaining bottlenecks to the achievement of total penetration of digital education. Well, you know, my friends, when I give this talk around the country, around the world, people say to me, well, Elsie, you've described to us the major trends in education right now. But what about the more distant future? Give us your blue sky projections. Well, as I'm sure you know, what's happening right now is that computers are becoming smaller and smaller, faster and faster, linked by cellular communication. And eventually, the experts tell us, we will wear computers just as we wear the clothing that I have on my back right now. Well, think of the possibilities for education. The wearable university. So just as today, we see students sporting T-shirts and sweatshirts that have the name of the university, their university written on it, in the future, the T-shirt will simply be your alma mater. And here I have it for you, the beta version of the first wearable university. But if you act quickly today, if you buy an APM, we'll be happy to throw in some of our other advanced products. One would be, if you choose, the APM CD-ROM, which contains all the volumes in the 30 largest libraries on the planet. Or another choice that we have is a 3-volume set of the volumes in these libraries in suppository form. A product that we are pleased to call the Texas Educational Book Suppository. So if you act quickly, buy an APM, we'll throw in one or the others of these products. Well, I realize that I barely scratched the surface today, and that there are a great many other questions about the future of education that remain to be addressed. But for now, I must conclude by saying that my colleagues and I hope that you've enjoyed this tour of an emerging growth industry, and that you will decide to join us in the great adventure that lies ahead. As our potential customers and potential investors, we're certain you will find our line of products deserves your lasting confidence. And in the last analysis, if we do not have that, what do we have? And that's why every minute of every day at EduSham, we remind ourselves that confidence is our business. Thank you very much.